Hey there everyone, this is Steve, curator of the MHS Military Museum with yet another episode of Keep 'em Rolling, a channel dedicated to preserving the memory of what the United States Armed Forces did during World War II. Now for this episode, we are going to continue on with part 2 of the GI Footlocker. So, welcome everyone to Keep 'em Rolling. Welcome everyone to part 2 of the GI Footlocker. Now, in the previous episode, we covered the left side of the tray of the footlocker, which contains most of the personal items that the GI would need while in basic training, including things like his toothbrush and tooth powder, foot powder, shaving cream and shaving kit, etc. For this episode, we're going to cover the right side of the tray, which contains a lot of the uniform care items. Now, we'll begin in this upper left corner here where we have a stack of personal items that the GI would be allowed to have, things to keep him entertained and the like. Next to that, we have the leather garrison belt. This would be the Class A uniform dress belt. This belt would hook on the brass hooks on the Class A uniform and was done away with pretty quickly after the war started. Inside the belt here, we have the whistle. It has a nice chain here with the hook at the end, the fish hook. The whistle is actually dated here. It's got stamped U.S. Army, and it's dated down here in the bottom, 1943. The plastic whistles were once again an attempt to conserve the brass that the whistles were originally made out of. The problem with the plastic whistles is if they got too hot, they tended to melt and warp and became ineffective as a whistle. To the right of the garrison belt, we have your trouser belts. We have two of them here. Both of these are the open buckle, which are the standard World War II belt. And then to the right of those, we have socks. 11 pair of socks to be exact. The socks begin down here with the heavy marching sock, and then they work their way up to more of a lighter summer dress sock, if you will. Just to the left of the socks, we have ties. Now, the top tie here is the black tie. This was the early tie for the GI, and these were also done away with fairly quickly after the war started and replaced with the one that most of you are familiar with, and that is the khaki tie. The black ties, however, remained in use. If a GI had been issued one, he tended to keep wearing it until either A, it wore out, or B, he was finally ordered to not wear the black tie anymore. Uniform regulations this time, it's weird how they tend to be a little bit looser. GIs tended to get away with more than I think they could today. Now, these khaki ties, what's neat is this one right here. When I bought it, had a tag attached to it and had a sticker on it. I think the sticker was 50 cents, and I thought the tag was maybe an old garage sale tag or an old Goodwill tag or something like that. But then when I looked at it, just as I was ready to take it off, it said Howard 7 ties 21437. This is a laundry tag when this GI had his ties laundered. Now, most likely he had 7 ties, and when they gave them back to him, they had them all tied with string, and for some reason he never wore this tie again, and he left the tag attached to it. I mean, things like this just absolutely blow my mind that they have survived all these years. And what makes this even cooler is it kind of gives you an idea of the number of ties GIs had. This guy, Howard, he had 7 ties. Now, in this footlocker, we only have 5. We have the black, we have khaki, we have a couple different varieties of khaki. You can see the weaves in these are a little bit different. This one's much more of a thicker cotton tie. And then another one that's a little bit looser weave, if you will. Now, to the left of the ties, we have a button polishing kit, and we'll get to this in just a moment here. We also have the indelible marking kit for your clothing, and underneath that, we have this really cool little PX pickup called Soap and Towel. Basically, you do not need to have soap. You have this towel, you get it wet, and it contains the soap therein. And down here you can see it was marketed for both soldiers and civilians. For soldiers, motorists, campers, picnickers, sailors, mechanics, fishermen, golfers. Now, what was nice about these was if you were on the march, you could throw these into your pack, and when you got to your campsite, if you will, you could just whip one of these out and clean up without having to tote along a bar of soap in a soap tin. So, kind of a convenient way, and then you just dispose of them when you're done. Most likely they'd just be buried. So, and then behind the soap and towel is a PX boot polishing kit. So, I'll set the camera down here, and we'll move these ties out of the way. And then what I want to do is I want to kind of show you up close a few things. We'll start with the person items back here. On top is a tin of Hill's cold tablets. This GI apparently was suffering from a cold. He was a little bit under the weather, so this was kind of an over-counter remedy, if you will, something you could purchase at the PX. This is wartime, and it's complete. All the tablets are in there. I don't think I would try one. It would probably cure my cold, but it would probably cure it permanently. So underneath that is a photograph. Soldiers were allowed to have personal items. This photograph right here is of the GI and his girlfriend and their newborn child. Now, so often happened at this time, the GI would be drafted or volunteer. His sweetheart would not want him to go off to war unmarried. They would get married very quickly, and then 9 months later, he would find out that he was now a proud father. Many of these GIs didn't get to see their kids except in photographs until they were discharged 2, 3, 4 years later. I mean, that's just mind-boggling. I can't imagine missing the first 3 or 4 years of my daughter's life. Underneath that, the standard set of Uncle Sam playing cards. This set right here is complete. It's a little tatty around the edges, but it's dated 1942. A nice early set of playing cards, and it is complete. And underneath that, we have the GI Nutcracker game. Let me see if we can, there we go. That's a little bit better view. Basically, I'm going to adjust here again. It was a set of wooden blocks, and you'd move them around to create different puzzles and the like, supposed to keep you busy for hours on end. Under that, we have postcards. When the GI first got into boot camp, he was overwhelmed with the new adjustment to his life, the training schedule, and the like. Plus, he was getting a lot of letters from home with people wanting to make sure he was okay and want to know what he was doing. You know, brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles, parents, loved ones, and the like. And these were just a handy way to dash off a quick message without having to do a lot of writing. First of all, they have all these humorous things like this one. I've been here 2 weeks now, Sergeant. Who do I see about a raise? Ha ha ha. But then if you look closely, all you have to do is you start at the top here, and you just check off the boxes. So it's hi there, and you can check off honey, beautiful, ya big palooka, everybody, and mom and pop. I'm feeling, and then you check off fine, not good, all wet, all shot, full of pep. This place is okay, not so hot, wonderful, good for ailments, etc., etc., etc. So, and then you simply put your name and address on the back, and away it goes. And there's several different kinds. This one here, it says, you know, the most popular guy in camp is the paymaster. This one here just shows him trying to write while he's marching. I love this one here. This big, tall, strapping guy and the little doctor, and the doctor says, the Army will make a new man out of you. Here he's trying to write while parachuting. Then we're back to the original. So, but something you'd pick up at the PX and you'd have in your footlocker, once again, to dash off a quick message. We have religious material, a nice little pocket Bible here. Once again, a PX purchase or something that a loved one would you know, buy at home and then send to the GI. I've seen many of these where, you know, the local priest, chaplain, or not chaplain, pastor from the church that the GI attended as a civilian, maybe they would write an inscription in the Bible and then give it to the soldier. I've seen ones where Sunday schools have gotten together and all, you know, written in it and wished the soldier good luck and so forth and so on. So there's a whole variety of these. This is a nice zipper closed one to help protect it. Underneath that, the important soldier's individual pay record, a very important piece of paper the soldier would carry. And then with that, we have notebooks. I have 2 notebooks right here. Soldiers, they needed notebooks while in basic training. They were learning a lot of new things from the names of their officers, the names of their sergeants, different things on, you know, what to do in a gas attack, the caliber of your M1 rifle, and the like. And they kept all of that information in notebooks like these. And if you look hard at antique shops, if you look hard at flea markets and the like, you will find these. Both of these are World War II. Both of them have writing on the inside that is training related. This gentleman was from the AAF, Visual Inspection Systems, and so forth and so on, was probably training to be an aircraft mechanic. But you find these things, and usually they run 25, 50 cents each. It's just a neat addition to your footlocker. And then finally we have some of the manuals and that. We have Army Life. We have the Soldier's Bible, if you will, the basic field manual, Soldier's Handbook. If you don't have one of these in your collection, buy one. they are a great reference source. Just, look for one. You shouldn't pay more than, a couple of dollars. I've seen them at some of the book shows and that go for $25 and $30. That's ridiculous. They're all over the place. Virtually every soldier got one of these. So, they were printed by, I would say, most likely the millions. So, a couple bucks. And then finally, there, little cattywampus there. Finally, we have the U.S. Army Songbook. So just some of the basic paper items that would be in your footlocker. Now, some of the kits we showed, we have, back this up again, we have the Army and Navy indelible marking outfit. This was something that's very important. You needed to mark your clothes. You put your laundry number in your clothes, and sometimes you'd even put your name. This gentleman here was G.T. Dowes, and this kit is complete. It does have the stamp pad where you'd put the ink. It does have the bottle of ink, which is actually marked Army and Navy indelible ink, so it shows you that's the right bottle for the kit. And then underneath this, you have the soldier's custom stamp that he had ordered that has his name on it. So on the bottom, it's got his name, and that way he can stamp all of his personal possessions. It's really a neat little find. Unfortunately, I did not pay a whole lot for this, but with the ink permeating the pad and permeating the bottle, it reeks to high heaven. It just has a very heavy, inky, chemical smell, and I'd put it in my footlocker not realizing this, and I don't open this that often, so I opened it up to do something, and the smell was just, oh my goodness, just this chemical smell, and that's not good for your stuff. So it's now kept out, it's kept in an area that's very well ventilated, and that keeps the footlocker, or the smell, from permeating the cloth items within the footlocker, which is what you don't want. I debated even, trying to clean it, but it's already, the cardboard's already permeated with the smell, so there's really nothing I can do to get that smell out, and I even thought about getting rid of it, actually disposing of it, but I just, because of the completeness, I can't do that. So right now it sits in a well-ventilated area, and then I put it on display when my footlocker goes on display. Now, the other thing that was near that was the button polishing kit. These are really cool. Now, I'm sure those of you who are military collectors have seen these tins. I tend to come across them quite frequently at military shows or antique shows or flea markets. Usually they're holding coins or they're holding something like that. I mean, they are a nice tin for that. But rarely do you find the contents, and it tells you right on here it should have polish, brush, cloth, and board. And this kit right here, I mean, just looking at the tin, it is just, it's almost like it was made yesterday. And you open it up, and what's so cool in this kit, you can get that popped open there, this kit is complete. On top, you have what's known as the button board. This would actually slide over your buttons, so you could polish them without getting polish on your uniform. Underneath that, you have the cloth that you'd use to actually polish the buttons. And then you have, down inside of it, the dabber, which you'd put the polish on with, and you have the can of button polish that is just absolutely in mint condition. Lightning button polish. This right here was a find that I was just tickled pink to come across. And once again, it wasn't that expensive. This was at an antique show. The person, I think they had $15 on it, and I ended up giving them $10 for this. And I was just ecstatic to find something in that condition. Now, finally, for this side, we have, I lost a part of it there, we have the button polishing kit. This is a PX purchase. We're just, you can see on there it says Army Shoe Shine Kit. And then when you open it up, inside of this, you have the polished cloth for the boots. You have the tin of shoe polish, or boot polish. This one right here says, is it Quintone boot polish in brown, and it's got this really cool military motif. It's a glass jar with a screw top lid, and you can see the jar is empty. It's how it came. I actually appreciated that because, once again, the smell, so it's nice not to have the smell or worry about it, and it can display very nicely. And then also in here is the boot brush, and what really sold me on this was the fact that the soldier put their laundry number on the brush, so this is a true wartime brush. This is not a brush that was, just put in here to make this kit look like a kit. And then, of course, the bag, and you can see there's like a piece of cardboard in the bottom to allow it to keep its shape and that. But just a neat PX find to add the footlocker. Now, there is one last thing. We talked about, in previous episodes, not going overboard with cheesecake, but soldiers did do things that were a little cheesecake, and one of those were Varga girls. Varga, he was a great artist for drawing female forms at the time. Just did them, great way. I can't believe it just fell over like that. But the Varga girl, this right here is a complete Varga calendar, dated 1944, and, this is one of my favorite finds. His women, they're just so attractive that he draws. And soldiers would have things like this, but once again, they would keep them where they could enjoy them, but they could come out. In other words, they wouldn't affix them to the lid, glue them in. They would keep them maybe standing up in their footlocker when it was open, when they were in use, or they'd keep it, kind of laying on top. And then when they went for inspection, they would park it underneath everything so it wouldn't be seen. So a Varga calendar, as I said, this is complete. You can see like this one here, this is June, just incredible. Here we have, this is August. Just amazing, amazing artwork. And what's sad is that you oftentimes don't find the calendars complete. I was very fortunate to find this complete. A lot of times they're broken apart because the people want to sell each page, and they ask, once again, a ridiculous amount. I've seen pages from a calendar like this going for, upwards of $30 to $40 a page, which is it's just ridiculous. So I was grateful to find the whole calendar, and I did not pay that for the whole calendar. I think I paid for this, once again, antique show. I think it was $15 for the whole calendar. So, well, that concludes the upper right tray of the GI footlocker. Well, everyone, that concludes this episode of Keep 'em Rolling. Please feel free to leave comments, as I love interacting with all of you. Like if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, but if you disliked it, please let me know why, as I'm always looking for ways to improve my channel. Subscribe if you haven't, and until next time, when we're going to focus on part 3 of the GI footlocker, this is Steve reminding all of you to do your part and keep 'em rolling.